Alright everyone, Thursday morning and lovely to be with you all again as we talk Celtic. I guess the channel's going to be slightly different going forward over the next few months. I guess supporting Celtic's going to be slightly different. We've come through this intense period of midweek football, weekend football non-stop for the past 2-3 months. We're not going to have that to the same extent going forward, so probably an opportunity in the channel to delve into some different topics. I'm going to try and get some different guests on as well. One thing that is bugging me is that we're very close to 13,000 subscribers and have been for some time, but we just can't quite get there yet. We're about 40 away at the moment. So if you're watching this and have just realised I'm not subscribed to that slightly or very annoying guy I listen to and wake up to every morning, please consider subscribing. It's completely free and just get us to 13,000, please, legends. Thank you. Right, we've got a bit of a old-fashioned news roundup today, a few different stories, bit of opinion, etc. First of all, though, let's just start with the results from the Scottish Premiership last night. We had Hibernian beating Dundee United 3-1. Their good form just continues, and that game we've got against them at Celtic Park in the Scottish Cup is looking like a bit of a cracker. Hearts also doing well now. They won 3-1 as well at home to St Mirren. Rangers were 2-0 down at Rugby Park, but found a way back in that game, 1-4-2. Motherwell 2-1 against Dundee at Fir Park, and St Johnstone got an important win, 1-0 over Ross County. It leaves the league table with us now 13 points clear. We are still, 5 wins away from the title. If we win our next 5, we will be champions. Could be sooner than that as well, of course. Hibs up to 4th. And the top 6 now made up by, I think it's fair to say, the 6 biggest clubs in the country. Which is interesting. So that's all well and good. Just some other findings and things that happened last night that I want to bring to your attention. Lewis Palma scored his first goal for Olympiacos. It was in the Greek Cup semi-final first leg. A great win for them over AEK Athens, 6-0 to Olympiacos. Palma scored right at the start of the second half, and you'll be unsurprised to hear that it was a typical Lewis Palma goal. Cutting inside and just curling it into the top corner. Really good goal. As I say, first goal for the club. Next stop for them is Bodo Glimt away in the Europa League on Thursday. So that will be interesting. We also had former Celtic man Liam Henderson playing a big part as Empoli stunned Juventus in the Italian Cup in Turin. They beat Juventus on penalties with Liam Henderson slotting away the first one. So they're through to the Italian Cup semis. They'll take on Bologna there, while AC Milan versus Inter Milan is the other semi. Finally, Kieran Tierney came on as a half-time sub for Arsenal in their 0-0 draw against Nottingham Forest. So not sure how he played. I didn't catch that game. Some of you may have. But interesting that he's still being used and still valued by Arsenal. When you've got a player coming on for Arsenal, even though he's not necessarily starting games, it is a hell of a coup, I think, us having Kieran Tierney coming back, and look forward to him next summer, ideally alongside Jeff Schlupp, although we'll wait and see whether he can agree a deal with wage stuff. Potentially going to be an issue there. Maybe being second choice might not be to his taste either. But yeah, all well and good there. So that was what happened last night. One thing that was mentioned earlier in the week and has been teased by Celtic already, I believe, is one of our pre-season games in the summer, and it will be a trip to Cork City for a friendly. It's been reported by a number of outlets in Ireland earlier this week that we'll face Cork on Tuesday the 8th of July at Park E Kiev, I believe it's pronounced, which is a GAA ground that can hold up to 45,000. That's if they've got the terraces in use, which I assume they would be for a friendly. If they're not allowed, I think it's like 25,000 the capacity drops to. So that'll be in the middle of the Irish season, so a pretty good workout for us, a good test. Football going well in Ireland as well, getting some big crowds at games now. But I think nice to have Celtic back in Ireland as well. Played Sligo, didn't we? which was a bit of a kind of... Yeah, it was a mid-season friendly for us, and obviously only really a fringe team went. In fact, Palma scored, a hat-trick that night. So this is going to be a bigger event, should be a good test for the team. Great to get a big crowd in as well and bring Celtic to Ireland, but away from Dublin as well for once. So I think it will feel quite good down in the south. And yeah, full details will be released in March. I'm not sure what the rest of our pre-season schedule will say. Selfishly, I would love Celtic to be going on a tour back to Australia. I'm not sure that's going to happen though. We had the States last year. Year before that was Japan. And the year before that, albeit during the winter break, was Sydney, wasn't it? So will the club have something big planned for the summer? I'm not sure. I guess the difference here is that we do have, or we will have a Champions League qualifier to play, but it is only one round, and I think it's like mid-August we're talking. So the club should still have something planned. So yeah, I guess we'll find out relatively soon what they have there, but we'll certainly have a match in Cork to look forward to. Now, one story that I did come across, and I think it's a pretty cool one, is some comments from Cameron Carter-Vickers about a conversation that he had with former Spurs teammate Eric Dyer. Dyer was obviously in the Bayern Munich team that we played recently in the Champions League. He played the first leg at Celtic Park, was then an unused sub in the return game in Munich. And he's revealed to CCV that Daizen Maeda was a big talking point in the Bayern changing room after that first leg in Glasgow. Just read out the quotes from CCV speaking to the media recently, saying, "I was actually talking to Eric Dyer after we played Bayern, and he said after the first leg, all the Bayern players were talking about Daizen, about how much he runs and how much energy he puts into a game. We were just having a general chat about the two games, and he said after the first leg, they got the running stats put up in their changing room. Everyone was talking about how much high-speed distance he did. It is crazy. We get all the stats in terms of high-speed running and sprint distances, and he is always top of the charts for all that. His work rate is incredible. He outworks defenders, is always on the move, is hard to pick up. He is a threat." I think we all realise that Daizen Maeda's work rate and running ability, an ability to sprint and then recover and sprint very quickly after that. We all realise that is elite, but I did come across something from UEFA that I meant to share at the time, but just didn't get an opportunity. This was from after the first leg at Celtic Park, and it's titled Maeda the Machine, and it's stats from UEFA. And just to explain for those of you who are listening to the podcast, basically it's the number of sprints completed by Daizen Maeda per match. So they've got match day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 9, obviously missed match day 8 at Villa Park. And Daizen Maeda is first or second in the whole of the Champions League for all of these match days. Now he's first on match day 4, match day 7 and match day 9, and second on 3, 5 and 6. And the amount of sprints here, I mean, match day 9, that home leg against Bayern Munich, 53 sprints. I'm sure I read online, and I googled it earlier, how many sprints on average does a player in the Champions League do? It's like 17 or 18, and Maeda's doing 53 in that first leg against Bayern Munich. So it's no surprise that he's coming up in the Bayern dressing room and being a big talking point here. Like his running is elite, and you're not talking like it's Scottish football level, you're talking against the biggest and best stars in European football, world football, and Maeda is ranking so highly here. So I think it's fair to say that he's one of the fittest footballers around, if not like the fittest footballer around in Europe or the world at the moment. That might sound extreme to say, but I really think that's what we're dealing with, and it's just such a coup for Celtic to have him at the club. But he's more than a pest now as well, because I think his game has really come on this season. He's a goal scorer now. And Alex Thompson put it well in the comments yesterday when he said, "People always credit his speed and stamina, but Maeda's incredible understanding of where the ball is going to ricochet to is more a factor of his intelligence and speed of thought than his sheer pace. Not only does he move faster, he thinks faster. I think that's a brilliant point. He's just become an incredible player. And I was having a conversation with John McGinley on the Celtic Way yesterday, and I mean, Maeda's in 25 goals now. We've got, 10 league games left, potentially as many as 3 in the Scottish Cup. He's clearly, the way he's going, 10 goals in his last 8 matches, last 7 starts. It's, he's going to hit 30 goals pretty comfortably. I think potentially he could hit 35 the way he's playing at the moment. And like Kyogo in his peak season, second year at the club, unbelievable season Kyogo had that second season. I think 33 goals, 34 possibly. I think it was 34. Unbelievable season, like right up there with the best seasons we've seen since like Henrik Larsson left the club. And Maeda could beat that tally this season, and he'll have done the vast majority of it from left wing, and he'll have scored, 4 or 5 goals in the Champions League. Like, we're talking about one of the great modern day seasons from a Celtic attacker, and I don't think that's overkill to call it that, or over the top. Like, we're dealing with an unbelievable season here, and I'm just already hoping Daizen Maeda's with us next season, because there's got to be, any club in Europe would be looking at the season he's having. I mean, Bayern Munich players are talking about it. What a player. I love him. But there's so many other players playing well at the moment as well, and just excited to see the team back in action on Saturday. Another tough looking game at St Mirren. It's going to be a challenge. They obviously beat Rangers last week. They're in decent form, although they lost to Hearts recently. But I just think Celtic are in such a good place at the moment, and now that the Champions League's away, and the Champions League clearly took up a lot of our kind of thinking time this season, and it's the one that's provided the real excitement in the season. I think it's fair to say it was the Champions League games we all looked out for, and it provided the real tension and nerves and anxiety as well. The domestic stuff has been just pretty straightforward for Celtic this season, and I think the team just really have the bit between their teeth now, and Alistair Johnson spoke about it earlier in the week. Just get through this week, then you've got a bit more breathing space, and just tick off the games one by one. I think we've got a good looking team at the moment. I'll do this at the moment because I'm not sure we'll talk about the St Mirren game on tomorrow's video, because we're going to take a look at something different. But I think this is kind of my team going forward for the rest of the season, and clearly there's not going to be as much rotation, but Schmeichel, Johnston, Carter-Vickers, Trusty, I think those two need to really form a relationship during the rest of this season. Schlupp is clearly the option at left back. Midfield, I think, is best as McGregor, Engels and Hatate. It'll be interesting if Bernardo comes back. Maybe Luke McCowan will play a bit between now and the end of the season. And sadly for Adam Maeda, I don't think he's in the front three at the moment. It's Kuhn on the right, Jota on the left, and Maeda through the middle. But I think that's a team Brendan Rodgers thinks is his strongest team at the moment. I think if you canvass the opinions of the Celtic support, that's the team that most people would go with. So you keep going with that for the rest of the season. I think certainly at St Mirren on Saturday, that's the team that I want to see start. There may be a few changes in there, given that we did play in midweek, but I think there's a good turnaround between Tuesday night and Saturday evening as well. So it is an evening kickoff on Saturday, but just another case of Celtic turning up. We're going to be big favourites to win the game, and regardless of what they do across the city and what they try and convince themselves, we know what's coming. New manager bounce, the wee Rangers cycle of deluding themselves into thinking that they're going to do all right, and then coming to terms with the reality. So they're somewhere on there, just at the kind of new manager's a genius bit. And we just need to keep winning and look forward to that next derby, I think, when we've got a score to settle. But still plenty to look forward to. I did say we're going to take a wee bit of a different look on tomorrow's video. I may mention the St Mirren game a wee bit more, but generally, going to be changing things up a bit tomorrow, looking at some European stuff. And I'll be in different surroundings tomorrow as well. I won't be sitting here in this chair in Melbourne, because I'm off to Adelaide later today. So I'll chat to you from there tomorrow, everyone. Speak to you then.